We gotta get these videos out. We gotta go ahead and get the message to the people. Welcome back to Bestmanmade. I'm your guy, your virtual OG, Mac. And I got your best intentions right now. Well, at least I would like to think I do. There's been a couple of things here and there throughout, just conversations I've had and hearing the word out there with a lot of different people and just listening to different things and different media sources. And this particular phrase has come up time and time again. That phrase, toxic masculinity. Rolling. Okay, so I don't even know if I can even tackle this subject the right way. Okay, because I don't know if I have an actual answer to this, but we gotta have a conversation, and we gotta go ahead and kind of just exercise this mentally a little bit. So journey with me through this a little bit. When does masculinity become toxic? Now, let's go back, all right? Let's think about this for a second. Different worlds, different time periods, masculinity has been identified as something else, right? As a particular thing. Let's go back to Cro-Magnon times, right? Neanderthal times, right? When man was more like an animal, and you get that little look and stuff of the man being like, mouth all open, knuckles dragging on the ground, got a big stick, and he's quick to either like knock out the enemy, or on the flip, the woman that he loves. Really crazy stuff. But we say that as like an animalistic, Cro-Magnon, primitive man type of concept, right? Pretty much an idiot. Okay? I mean, that's how we looked at it. But that's how we said that was a man. And then man evolved a bit, right? But still, we talk about a time in a day and age where war and imperialism was a big thing. So a man, was looked at as somebody that can protect and that can fight the battles, right? A big brutish type of dude, right? We didn't really think about, if this guy was the most intelligent necessarily, but being a man, he was somebody that was gonna work and that was gonna protect, right? That was pretty much what was needed in a man at that time. And then once again, we evolved. So evolution continues to happen throughout time, right? And these identities keep changing as time changes. Now, you jump to where, I'm not going to say where we are at now. Let's go back, I don't know, the past 100 years or so, right? Mankind now, since the early 1900s or so, let's not talk about him politically or socially, not going to really matter necessarily. But how we identified man at that particular time really depended on our means of survival. Ooh, while we journeying, people, that's the word I was trying to get at. Survival. The tools we needed to survive before were much more visible. We had harsher climates, harsher things going on. You got freaking saber-toothed tigers coming after you, and you got to fight them off. And then, you go forward and you got to, build houses out of trees and rocks. Okay? We need a man to do that. But now we got tools. We got machines. So now man is kind of changing up. Now man is trying to get smarter, do things easier. You don't necessarily need muscle all the time. And our means of survival is not necessarily through fire. Now our means of survival is through money, currency. So a man now becomes a little bit different. Now for a man to provide, he's got to have a job, right? And for a man to have a job, he needs an education. And if he's educated, he needs to dress nice and speak nice and treat people well. So now all of a sudden a man is looked at as a little bit different. The physical attributes that a man needed is less important than the mental, social aspects of man. Oh, this is getting good, people. I mean, we just freestyling this thing. I mean, I got a couple of like 3 or 4 things knocked down, but it ain't much. The biggest change between the primitive man and how we identified man at that time was that his power was seen through muscle, right? Aggression. But now, maybe not now today, but let's say in the past 100 years or so, even more than that, past couple 100 years, man now, that muscle that we wanted him to have becomes intelligence and drive. And we look at it and we find it, like, back in those times, primitive times, you could look and say, oh, that's a muscular dude. And normally he's like 6'8", whatever, right? I need that big, burly, muscular dude to do stuff. Now I need that guy with deep pockets to do stuff. The one that's earning a good salary, who's got good benefits, right? I mean, look, we can say what we want to say. A lot of people say, man, Matt, what you talking about? You trying to say being a man is somebody that's got money? I'm not saying that. Let's kind of dissect this a little bit. There is a different way to look at this. Like, legally, a man is nothing but a grown boy, right? Legally, a man is a child that hits the age of legal adulthood. And depends on what country you are, pretty much for that. But in the States, once you hit 18 years old, you are now a man. And so if they report on you in the news and you're 18, they don't say 18-year-old child, they say 18-year-old man. Or maybe they say 19-year-old man, but it's somewhere in there. If you're 19, 20 years old, you're considered a man. If you're 17, you're still considered a kid, child, teenager. So legally, that's one thing. That's when we talk about a legal man. Now, there's another thing that people use this term, oh, he's a real man, right? Oh, girl, he ain't just a man, he's a real man, all right? What's up? And so we got to start thinking, what would be considered a real man? A lot of what a real man is, the way it's identified, is through characteristics, right? He's responsible, okay? He's accountable. He's trustworthy. He's kind. He's a gentleman. That's a real man. He pays his bills on time. He does his taxes, right? He ain't got 5 kids running around here by 5 different people. That's a real man. And so what they're trying to give you is a value on character traits. Character traits. I totally messed that up. They're giving you a value on character traits. Okay? And that's how a lot of times the real man is seen. Now you have this other term. Oh, he's a man's man. Right? Normally when people discuss a man's man, funny enough, but it's a dude talking about, oh, that's a man. Whereas a dude, it's kind of weird, because why can't a dude know a man is a man? Whatever. But for the sake of this particular video, a man's man is somebody that still has a lot of those, honestly, those primitive, physical characters. I'm messing this word up tonight. I don't know what's going on. But they have these characteristics, right, of being more burly, tough, aggressive, suave. I mean, it's basically saying it's the cool, strong man that all other men admire and wish they could be. That's basically what a man's man is. That's what you gotta say, man. He's a man child. I mean, a big ass dude, right? A big ass kid. The thing that I think that the message is always going back to is a best man, and at that even a best man made. Now, a best man made is a mixture. It's got to be a melting, a what do you call it? A coagulation. A grouping, a collection of all those things in one. I believe you have to have a little bit of that primitive edge, to be honest, and that modern gentleman approach to understand this complexity of what a man is. However, the glue that holds it all together are character traits. It doesn't matter if you have the look and the style and the suave and the words and all this and the smell of a good man. That ain't gonna matter if you are a freaking jerk. Okay? If you're broke. Alright? If you make bad decisions. I'm gonna tell you 2 things that make a best man made. 1, you make better decisions. And 2, you get out there and make moves. Do what you gotta do. Those are the 2 main things to be a best man made. Now, with that being said, I'm giving you an idea and an understanding of what and how we've identified what is a man. Okay? Collectively, socially. It ain't coming just from my head. I'm just saying, in conversation and the way we see things. Now, what has made that today toxic? And that's a heck of a word, right? Toxic. When I think about toxic, I think about, I don't know about y'all, I think about Bane from Batman. You know, so funny that Bane from Batman is kind of like that primitive man, right? Big, tall, don't talk much, grunts, right? Aggressive, pretty much an idiot, mean, did I say that already? Stinks. It's more complex. I think that's the whole point I'm trying to get. It's more complex than we ever had to think about. Because now you have to be very careful about how you identify what a man is and what a man should be and how a man acts and does and moves and all these things. And I believe it becomes toxic when it becomes hurtful, when it becomes destructive. And sometimes we don't see that destructive part until years later. Now I know, like, there's been times, man, and like I said, I got 4 older sisters, a younger brother, you know, lovely mom. And you think, you know, in your mind and the way you've kind of been told and the way you've just been driven is, if somebody messes with anybody in that crew, they gonna get dealt with physically, painfully. Somebody gonna, if both walk away, somebody gonna be limping type thing. You get what I'm trying to say? And a lot of times that's what we say, man. Look, that's you touch my sister, bruh. That might be the last thing you touch in life. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's how we go at it. And the problem is with that mindset, you're gonna either get killed or locked up. That ain't the way you gotta move, man, no more. Being a man today, you gotta think about, how can this really play out? Now, don't get me wrong. You need to do what you gotta do physically, because that's just, I think anybody has to protect others if you care and love them, right? You have to physically protect, be willing to protect those that you love. Hands down. But at what level you do it and what, you know, how far you go into that, you got to think as an adult, right? As a responsible person on this planet, how far does that go? And I think when we talk about toxic masculinity is when we have, you know, guys and boys who grow up to become men and have other boys as their kids, how they explain and showcase masculinity could become toxic to that child that ends up growing up to be a man or even an older kid. Because there are a lot of young boys that are out there and they think the things that they're doing are what men admire or what men believe they should do. Thinking again, I ain't got no answer to this, I don't think. But I want you to really start thinking, how and when does masculinity become toxic? And I'm saying it becomes toxic when we start thinking that the things that man should be defined on are things that can ultimately lead to his destruction or the destruction of others. But a lot of things can become toxic. You know, you can start thinking of success in a lot of ways, and the ways we see success and the ways we see influence can become toxic in a lot of ways. So having to be able to identify these things, especially masculinity, in a time where gender itself is a little bit difficult to identify, I will say this. Go back to the definition and the understanding of what it is to be a best man. Because as a little boy, a lot of times little boys, you know, they can be a little rough at times. My son already 9 months, guys, he's already kind of tough. They grab stuff hard. I mean, I could just see he grabbing stuff, he throw. I mean, my daughter, she might have done all that, but not like, he just kind of rough with it. But we got the testosterone in our bodies, and that does create certain things. But I can say that we have to be very careful, because with little kids, with little boys, they see things a certain kind of way, right? They, and TV and cartoons and all this stuff kind of supports it, right? I'm looking back at these things and I see siblings fighting amongst each other, and I didn't grow up like that. We got along. My sisters, those are my homies. You know what I'm saying? We didn't do it like that. But you see these cartoons, oh, here goes my sister, I can't stand her. Oh, here, and it's all this stuff. Little boys, it's a little boy, he better go be on a skateboard, or he better go break something. I mean, again, you paint the picture. And so you got to understand, it ain't got to always be like that. And that could happen to either person. So again, go back to the best man made concept. Go back to the best man made definition of things. Focus on those two things I told you. Making better decisions and making moves. And if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. No matter how they look at it. Being a man, a real man, a best man made, is the same thing in a lot of ways as being a woman, a real woman. A best woman made. Because as we all know, right here, right now, on Best Man Made, boys are born. But men and women are made. We'll see y'all next time.